Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, and let's chat about what is happening in the sky above us. Today, this almost last week, this is the last full week of November, if you can believe that, which means we are ever closer to that very end of 2021. It's hard to believe so much time has flown by, right? And I would bet for everybody, you're all feeling the weight of everything that has happened in 2021. As I look back over my own life, this has been quite the year, and not necessarily in all negative ways either. But I think we start to look at this time of year and we're like, wow, look at all the things that have happened in our lives. Now, this morning, my intention here we go, right? My intention was to have a conversation about what is happening with Sagittarius energy, as yesterday the sun moved into Sagittarius. And then I went to print the page that I do every morning, which is the astrology chart of the day. So I always print one of these up. Notice it is blank, there's nothing on it. Why? Because yesterday I printed a page and it asked me to replace a printer cartridge. And I have this thing called instant ink. So they just mail me ink cartridges when my printer tells them it needs it. And so this was the first time it said that. So I opened it up, put it in, or went to put it in and realized, whoa, this one's this long and the one they sent me is this long. There's a problem. Maybe not. Maybe they just changed something. So I pop it in my printer and then it wouldn't print. So this is the second printer problem I've had in as many weeks. So now my mind is going 100 miles a minute because now I need to figure out what the you know what is going on with me and my energy signature around a printer, right? The other day, what was it? A paper jam. And I had removed a piece to get to the jam. And then I couldn't get the other piece back in, right? Remember that? And then that rendered the printer totally useless. And then today I put in the new printer cartridge, but the black ink, and it was a black ink cartridge, the black ink won't come out. It's only blue. And that's because the color printer cartridge was still the long one and still working. I'm telling you, it's just been kind of crazy. So I, I was just wandering around here this morning, getting, all of this taken care of. And I finally did get it taken care of, and it's printing correctly now. As you can tell, there's actually black ink here. And I wondered, what is it that this is meaning for me? Because, right, all of these events that happen in our lives are meaningless unless you can actually place it into what does this mean to me? Why is this showing up on a Monday morning in my face? The last time it happened was on a Friday morning, right? Both days that I'm here to talk to you all. And this printer issue happens. So I obviously have to unpack all of that. And this is what I urge all of you to do, right? To unpack the things that are going on in your own lives, right? You don't need to blame yourself or shame yourself. It's not about that. It's what is going on in my energy field that would attract this kind of experience, because every experience, of course, has been chosen by you, right? To experience some kind of expansion or some kind of evolution or some kind of growth. So now I have to look at it. So then I was thinking, what does a printer do, right? A printer takes messages from the unseen realm, right? Or from data that is residing on a page, and then brings it into form so that I can see it, feel it, touch it, right? If it's on my screen, it's digital. It's really not in my reality yet. It's in a sort of reality, a pseudo reality, but it isn't in a real reality because it's not in the physical realm yet where I can touch it. Now, I could touch my screen, so don't get me wrong. It's not completely 100%, but I have been receiving all kinds of insights and images and ideas over the last, I don't know, week, 2 weeks, maybe now, maybe a little bit longer. And I've shared some of that insight with you with things that I've been seeing on Gaia TV, with Star Seeds reports, with Starlight, a new report that I received. And then on Saturday morning, I was awake at 5 a.m. by an idea that came trickling in. And I was actually going to try to find the time over the weekend to write about it, to actually start blogging again, even though I'd have to figure out how to do that with my website. And that was a whole nother headache. But I was ready to face that down because I wanted to share this experience so much with you. But I'm having trouble translating what came in into reality, into a reality that I can then decode and bring to you. So while my mind gets it, I can't bring it into words yet. And that's a big problem for me sometimes. And you guys might have had this experience too, where ideas come fully formed right into your head. And now it's here, but how do I get it to here where I can manifest it, where I can bring it out into the world? And I think that mirrors the same thing that was going on with my printer this morning. Now I have hope because I actually was able to fix the problem, right? I was able to fix the problem with the help of HP support. They were able to help me go, oh, maybe you need to clean your print heads or your cartridge heads. And miraculously doing that a couple of times made it start printing correctly. So the idea then is that there's always going to be something in your outer world that can maybe give you the signs to come into the inner world and to match what's happening. And even though I don't know yet exactly how it is I'm going to present all of this new information to you all, or how that's going to translate into a reading or a session, because it's no good for you personally. I mean, I can tell you about it, but it's really not as good for you personally unless I can actually do something with it, right? To teach you something about yourself. And what I've been working on in this background has really been about how do we align our souls, right? How do we align to our soul's purpose for being in this incarnation? But really, in order to get to that, we almost have to know where it was we came from. What are the experiences that we've come through in order to have a sort of context for what it is that this lifetime is meant to teach us? And we all have bits and pieces of that. You know, you could say, like, I always have problems in relationships, so I'm obviously here to learn stuff about relationships. Or I'm always having health challenges, and so I'm obviously here to learn something about health. Whatever it is, in what area of your life it is, these are indicators, if you will, of what it was that you came here to learn, perhaps. But how does that relate to the other experiences that you've had? And literally, I've stumbled into a code for that, right? That tells us where we've been and how that is coming alive in this lifetime, or at least in this reality. I mean, I'm also okay if we're living in multiple dimensions at one time. But since my focus is here in this one right now, what does that mean for me in this life? Like, what is this lifetime's challenge? What is this lifetime's opportunity to align more fully with my soul? And from that, I can see from these many incarnations what that is, right? So it's in the process of decoding that for all of you guys. Now, that's probably going to take me a little bit more time. I've been working on it in my mind. I've been working on it in my sleep. Oh my God, I had a dream last night that I was in some other world and I was working on exactly this and bringing it in. I just haven't really decoded it all the way to be able to share it with you. But hints and peaks of it are coming out. And it reminds me that the energy of this particular week, at least through our human design and Gene Keys, is putting us in a place where we need to learn to respond to what is showing up in our outer worlds. Now, there isn't anybody on the planet, nobody, that is meant to take action based on their thoughts, right? So, or their inspiration that comes in from the head center or into the ajna even. It has to be able to make it into the throat. But in order to make it to the throat, it also has to be something that you're responding to in the physical world. So while you could say that everything, every idea and inspiration is sort of a tickle to the physical world, The actual taking of action on something needs to wait until you actually have the physical thing to respond to. And this week, the energy in human design sits at the gate 34. The sun is on the 34, which is on the sacral center, right? The center of action and the center of doing, the center of working, right? This is vital life force energy. And then the earth is sitting at the gate 20, which is up on the throat center. So we have easy access this week for action coming from the sacral and moving it directly to the throat for expression, for manifestation, right? For bringing it into being. This is actually the energy in the human design archetypes. This is the manifesting generator. And I want to remind you that we also have had for the last couple of weeks, several weeks, the North Node and the South Node sitting at that same gate combination. The 34 is where the North Node is, then the 20 is where the South Node is. So we are really predisposed at this moment in time to have a lot of different things happening, right? So some of you who are projectors, reflectors, or or manifestors, you may be feeling this as real excitement and real access to vitality, right? To real vital energy. But I will also bet you that you three, projectors, reflectors, and manifestors, may be starting to feel the results of that in your physical bodies, where you might be having trouble with your sleep. You might be having trouble getting up or being able to move through your day. Maybe you're feeling fatigue. Maybe you're feeling just extra tired or lethargic or confused or any number of things because you're burning energy or fuel that you don't normally have access to. And by the way, it feels so darn good, doesn't it? Right? To have all this energy at your fingertips, to feel like you can keep going and going and going, but it's temporary, right? And when we get into mid January, that energy cuts off and moves into a different set of gates. And of course, it's just this week where we have this extra added push for us to have this energy to take action with. What it really means, what it boils all down to, is that everybody needs to learn a dose of patience, right? Patience. Boy, this morning that was tested. I actually, I didn't throw it. I put it down. I have this file organizer that sits on top of my printer, and I was taking it off of the printer so I could get into the guts of the printer, and it all fell. So if you could see my floor, it's all over my floor. I didn't even have time to pick it up before I came on live here this morning. So patience, right? A big factor for this week. And I'm talking from the 22nd today through the 27th, which is on Saturday. So if you're here in the United States and you're going to have a Thanksgiving dinner this week, right? Patience is going to be the name of the game. Now, by the way, every one, two, three, fourth, is that the fourth week? Fifth week of November, fifth week in terms of the Human Design Week, we have this energy. Now, so, in at least in the USA, Thanksgiving wobbles, right? Sometimes it's earlier, so sometimes it could be earlier in the month and not necessarily in this week. But almost every Thanksgiving falls in the week where the sun is at the 34 and the earth is at the 20. And what happens here in the frenzy of the day after Thanksgiving and getting earlier and earlier now is this Black Friday, right? The idea of just going mad out there for deals. And it's very, I don't know. I have never participated in Black Friday because I just know I would not do well there. I don't have that kind of patience. I have a lot of patience with people individually, but you get me into a crowd like that that's going nuts, and I'm going to lose it. So patience, right? We have patience, but we also, the biggest lesson of the week is about response. And what do we mean by response? Well, in human design, responding happens when there is something outside of us in our outer world that matches something that has been an inspiration or an idea on the inner planes. So, for example, you might have been thinking about or had this aha about doing something like, a new way to do astrology. That happened to me on Saturday, right? A new way to do astrology. And that was something that was coming up from my mind. Now I'm waiting for the outside world to bring me something that matches that. Although I would say I already have that because of the new way of doing reports and looking at stars and fixed stars and so forth, our origins from star seeds and that type of thing. So I might have something already that I can respond to in order to take action on this. And I'm guessing that's the case. And oh, by the way, if you are a generator or a manifesting generator in particular, you're already familiar with this energy of response because it's your strategy, right? Your strategy is always about waiting for something to show up in the outer world that matches the inner idea or inspiration. So we should be pretty used to it by now. What's different for those of you who are generators is that there may be many things coming at you all at one time. Manifesting generators are the type that can really manage that very easily. But the rest of us, generators, reflectors, projectors, and manifestors, projectors, reflectors, that is not energy that we're necessarily at ease with, right? There's so many things coming. You can very easily get scattered or lose your focus. So we are all going to be a bit under the gun this week to be able to keep focused on the things that are most important to us, the things that are most important to you that are showing up in your outer world. It's okay to have ideas. It's okay to be inspired. It's okay to, have all these luscious, inklings coming in. It's just not okay to take action on all of them until they're something that you can match with a picture that's showing up in the outer world. So let me know if you guys are understanding that. In the meantime, I just want to say good morning to everybody out there. It looks like it's somebody's birthday. Andy girl, is it your birthday? I see Jolie Evans saying happy birthday, Andy. So let me just say happy birthday to you, Andy. And good morning, Susie. J-Lo, hello, hello. J-Lo says, I'm looking a bit more nutty than usual, Janet. I know the feeling, right? I told Ursula on Saturday that or was it Ursula? Maybe it wasn't you, Ursula, but I told somebody I felt a little bit like the nutty professor because if you could see my desk right now, or my entire office area is crammed full with open notebooks and books and things that I've printed and charts that I've drawn up that I'm in the process of researching. And I literally feel like an Einstein, almost feel like my hair wanted to do this morning, just stick up everywhere. You see some of those pictures of Albert Einstein with his hair all stuck up. That's kind of how I've been feeling, almost even kind of looking right now because there's just so much coming up. So some of you are probably feeling that. Lex says, oh, it just passed by me. Now, come on. Don't do that to me. Okay. There's just lots of comments coming in. Okay, so I'm going to have to go back. Lex says, well, I know my limits now. Too much of a sponge for that. Indeed, we might all be feeling very spongy-like. J-Lo, thank you so much. She says, please take a moment to hit the like button under the video, especially if you're on YouTube. If you are watching this on Facebook, then hit the like button, right? Or thumbs up on YouTube, like on Facebook, and please hit the share buttons, right? There's share buttons. Share it with your friends, your family, your networks of your social media networks, etc. Also, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go to Living Astrology on YouTube and subscribe. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm just going back to say good morning to people. Lex, good morning. I know I talked to you, but saying good morning. Andy girl says it's 11:11. Natasha, good morning. She says, I got the big aha this weekend. I felt I could not meditate. I actually walk in a meditation most of the time. I'm doing better than I thought, except this morning has been a little more a process. I'm not sure, maybe a process. Maybe you're talking a little more of a process today. Yeah. This is kind of a crazy day. That's why. J-Lo, etymology of printer, person who prints books, etc. 1500, ancient noun form of print as a signet or a seal. Ooh, I don't know. That's interesting. Julie Kiss, good morning. Barney T, happy day to you as well. Corey, hello. Good to see you. Debbie Tibbetts Tumiel, good morning and happy Thanksgiving. Susie Gemini, good morning. And let's see, Cool Rocks, good to see you. And she says, or he, I'm not sure which you are, I can't remember. Remove the old ink words concepts to allow smooth flow of the new. Oh my gosh, that's profound. Thank you very much. Susie says, is this 12th house? 12th house, that would depend. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but come back with some more information on that, Susie. I definitely have my sun and Mercury in the 12th house. Actually, sun is in the 12th house, Mercury in the first house. So I'm not sure what you mean. But anyway, Christine Buckingham, good morning. And Pauline Celia, good morning. What is in the stars, moon, and void of course? What is in the stars, moon, void of course? Well, right now the moon has actually moved into the sign of Cancer. It did that last night at 7:33 p.m. So to add to the fun of all of this mad energy that's pounding at us or coming in to flow through us is the emotional aspect of all of this. And when we talk about response, it also pertains to the solar plexus, the emotional part of us, where in response, we have a moment of breath, a moment to pause before we react. So if something triggers you emotionally, I can tell you, I had this huge conversation yesterday with a friend of the family who was at our Thanksgiving. We did our family Thanksgiving yesterday, and which was a crazy day to do it, right? The moon was in the end of Gemini, and that is where my natal sun is. And so I was all caught up in talking with people, like conversations everywhere, which is absolute fun, but a lot of talking yesterday. And in chatting with this person, he was in the middle of a reaction to something personal that was going on in his life. And I had a great opportunity to try to help a young person. He's actually one of my son's best friends. My son that passed away, it was one of his best friends. He was the one that Brian had been having a conversation with that whole day before he died. And um, he was in a reactive state to something that was going on emotionally. And it was an amazing aha to watch these 30 something, right? My kids are all in their 30s now. So these kids that were there, these young adults were all in their early 30s to mid 30s. And getting the opportunity to talk with them about this concept of response versus reaction and not to feel like they were, because I was invited into this conversation, by the way. It wasn't like I was just like pounding at them about, I didn't climb up on my soapbox and say, oh, hey, you must listen to me. I didn't do that. Instead, it was a natural conversation that arose from what he had been sharing. And it just so happened that everybody got the opportunity to participate in this conversation. And it's that kind of thing that each one of us gets to do in our lives, right? That we're all able to, in any given moment, to use it as the ability to help people see the light or to see how to be more in alignment with response versus reaction. So that was profound. And then not long after that, before we left for the evening, the moon had transited into emotional Cancer, right? So Cancer energy. So that's where we all are today with Cancer. Today, actually, there are very few, there's only a sextile going. Is it a sextile? Yeah, a sextile with Uranus today. And that's a smooth flow of the energy of emotions with the Uranus ability to bring in insights or ahas. So today's actually a pretty good day as it is that. But we've also had the sun now move into a new relationship with the zodiac signs. So now we have the sun in the sign of Sagittarius, and that ramps up the fire energy, right? So now we have fire energy where for me, it feels good to come out of the scorpionic energy, right? To get the moon, or I mean, get to the sun into a sign that's more expansive and more creative. And not that Scorpio's a bad sign or that Scorpio isn't creative or anything, but it does tend to be more intense and it seems more emotional. And sometimes there's this, more fear energy, shadow energy that gets triggered in Scorpio. We need that time. But now I'm really ready. I'm sure you guys are all feeling it too, ready to do some expansion. And when we start to look at the energies of Sagittarius, one of the first big things that we're going to come into contact with is a solar eclipse, right? Next Friday. Next Friday, if you're on the West Coast, but next Saturday morning, very early in the morning, if you are on the East Coast. It happens at 11:44 p.m. Pacific time. And that means it's going to be what, 2:44 a.m. if you are on the East Coast of the USA, and going to be more like 8 in the morning, I think, if you're in Europe. So it is, no, 6 in the morning. So it's also meaning that we're probably not going to be able to see that solar eclipse for the most part. But it doesn't mean it's not apparent to us. It is. And this is an eclipse, what we would call, say, a south node eclipse, where the eclipse is actually in Sagittarius, and the moon and the sun in a conjunction in Sagittarius. And Sagittarius happens to be the sign where the south node is. So it's taking us backward, right? This takes us backwards a bit. It takes us backwards to connect to something from our past, some gift that lies latent within us, in order to be in the energy of the new. So let me say that again. So this is an eclipse that is conjunct the south node. The south node holds all of our experiences, all of our lifetimes, all of our gifts, all of our talents. It holds the karma of our lives. And when we have an eclipse, a game changer, right? Something that's going to project outward from us something new, or the potential for something new. But we might have to either let go of something from our past or deal with something from our past first in order to move forward. So it's a very interesting eclipse. It also happens to be one that is, the moon will be in a sextile to Saturn. So it feels a little more like we're connecting up the steps that we need to take with the opportunity that's in front of us. So look to wherever about 12 degrees of Sagittarius is in your chart. And if this chart that I have in front of me were a person, this would be happening in the second house of money. So there might be some new opportunities to earn money, some new opportunities to attract the resources necessary to take the next steps to you. So looking in your own chart, what house is it in? Because the sun and the moon are both going to be in that same house. And the sun and the moon are going to be in a sextile to Saturn that smooths the way. That smooths the way. So I think it is one of the better times in the year for an eclipse that's going to maybe show us the pathway. But there are some little hiccups along the way, right? Anytime we're dealing with a sign, we're dealing with both the positive side of the frequencies and maybe the negative side of the frequencies as well. And some of the more negative sides of the frequencies in Sagittarius are about holding on to outdated beliefs, becoming dogmatic, fundamentalist in our belief system, and believing that the personal I, has the truth and everybody else is wrong, right? Those are the more dogmatic and beliefs that we think are the capital T truths. The real juice is when we have faith that the real truth is being revealed to us, right? Step by step. When we let go of our insistence that only I can be right and that if I'm right, you're wrong, when we can let go of that, then we start to see the absolute beauty of the expansive nature of Sagittarius, right? Leading us to the big truths, leading us to freedom, even freedom, because it's a fire sign, right? So it still has that fire energy of wanting to, have that freedom, that expansiveness. Jupiter's the planet that rules what's going on here and for the next month or the next 4 weeks. And that means that it's taking us on a journey to faith, right? Having faith in a benevolent universe, having faith that the universe is bringing to us all the right things that we need in order to learn, grow, and expand, but also giving us the opportunities to look at what our sacred cows are, right? Taking a look at the deeper parts of ourselves, the belief systems that we think are truths. And, there's a lot of that playing out in the world because it's a very divided world that we find ourselves in right now. And if we cannot find that middle road that takes us through the division. So what I mean by that is we have people on two opposite sides of an equation, and we need them to become equal, or we need them to have some kind of balance, right, or harmony. In order to do that, it takes work, right? It takes our being able to jump out of our old beliefs, or the adherence to those old beliefs, or those entrenched beliefs, and see if we can't open it up, expand it outward. It doesn't always have to be so black and white, right? Truth is never black and white. It's often in that gray area that we find the singularity, the most important truth that there is. That maybe everybody is right in some way, shape, or form, that nobody's really wrong, that we are just here to move through that and to elevate our thinking, to elevate our emotions, to elevate our minds into a new way of thinking or a new way of being with one another. So we have to let go of those old thoughts. You know why? It's not just a matter of letting go because we're in the sign of Sagittarius. It's because the more that we adhere to those old thoughts, the more we make them stay alive, the more life we are giving them. Now, I'm not saying that we take everything old or all of our cherished beliefs or principles, etc., and toss them, but toss the ones that are no longer relevant. Toss the ones that don't support unity. Toss the ones that don't support our coming together instead of tearing us apart. I hope that's making sense to everybody. And because the more that you focus on the negative things, right, on the negative of you choose the subject, right? We could have healthy debates on both the positive and the negative of any subject out there in the world right now, any subject, and relationships, of COVID, of race issues, of economic issues, you name it, right? We could come up with a debate. But to stay in the debate can be healthy if we're looking for solutions. But if we're just beating at the problem, if we're just keep restating the problem, then we're holding ourselves stuck to the problem and not the solution. The opportunity now with the sun moving through Sagittarius is we can maybe see how that isn't helping us, that's not benefiting us, and we can take some steps, right? We can move out of that adherence to this, stuck place and move forward, right? But we have to do it together. We don't have to do this alone. Now, if it's in your own personal life, I would say everybody look at it in your own personal lives too, right? Where are your own stuck places in your personal life? Because you're never really stuck. We think we might be, but we're never really stuck if we choose to look for the solution instead of focusing on the problem. So we just have to change our frame of reference, right? So if we have a problem with something in our lives, don't focus on the problem. Maybe outline the problem, like we know the problem is X, Y, Z. Now, how do we make a solution? And how do we do that? Perhaps by looking at it in a new way, like upside down, right? Take it out of the box and look at it in a different way. So these are big opportunities that we have coming. And let's see some of the other big things that are going on while the sun is transiting through the sign of Sagittarius. Not long after we have the sun moving into Sagittarius, Mercury is going to move into Sagittarius, and he does that actually on the 24th, so Wednesday this week. We have Mercury moving into Sagittarius. So we now have the sun and Mercury, right? So we have the mediator of messages, right? The guy that the planet, the archetype of taking messages, taking in messages and giving out messages, and the sun, the full force of our personalities, our ego structures, our way of being out in Sagittarius energy. Now that day also happens to be interesting, Wednesday. Interesting because Jupiter is going to be changing gates. So Jupiter being the ruling planet of Sagittarius, this is like on my big radar, right? This is the big radar screen. And Jupiter will be moving into the gate 30 in your human design. Now, if you want to know where that is, it's sitting on your solar plexus. It's on the very tip of the solar plexus, and it leads over to the root center. And it is a very empowered gate. It has a lot of energy, juiciness to it because it's called the gate of passion. It is called the gate of desire. And this is desire, although sexuality can come into it, it's primarily about the things that we desire for ourselves, the experiences that we want for ourselves. And it can become very attached to the way that we think it should happen, or that the way, let's say that you have a desire to move to a new place, and you think that that new place that you're going to move to has to be in a certain town, it has to be at a certain time of the year, and it has to be in a certain way that it's going to unfold. The gate 30 is being activated likely because you're holding on too tightly to that desire. So we're learning with Jupiter here at the gate 30 to relax our attachment to things happening the way that we think they should happen, and instead being open to the universe to create it in the best, easiest way possible for us, right? The what are the possibilities, or what more is possible, or letting it come to us with ease and grace, instead of our hanging on again to this is the way it has to be, this is the way I want it, and I'm not going to because what you're doing is putting on blinders, and you won't be able to see that the universe is bringing you, trying to get your attention. So you'll look over here, but you're stuck looking right here, and you can't see that there's something else. So Jupiter, through the rest of the year, I believe it. Let me take a look real quick at my little ephemeris. Jupiter will be at the gate 30 all the way through December 30th. So for the next month in some days, month and a week, we have the opportunity to examine our desires, to make sure that we're not holding on to the only way it can happen is this way, and allowing ourselves to have faith, tapping into faith again, that there is a plan and that things will work out to the best, in my highest and best. And so it kind of looks like this. You have the opportunity to say, I want to move, right? I want to move. And these are the things that I would like to see in my new neighborhood, or in my new house, or in my new environment. And to release your attachment to it, you can put that out to the universe, and you could say to the universe, and, please make the steps obvious. I say this to Brian all the time when I'm talking to him, and I want him to answer me. Make it obvious so that I get it, right? I get that this is coming from you. So you can ask the universe to do that for you. You can say, make it obvious. I want to know what to do, what steps to take, and I'm open, rather than I'm closed down and I'm only going to see it coming from this direction and in this way. And that's going to leave you disappointed, right? It's almost like that attachment is acting as a barrier to getting what you desire, instead of actually attracting what you desire. In fact, I would say that maybe having that attachment actually draws to you more opportunities for you to see where that desire isn't correct, maybe, or where it's a challenge for you to get what you really truly desire. So we have this opportunity to, I know, Kathleen, that's funny. She says, thank you. I'm looking for a place to live, right? So that's a great one. I don't even know why I picked that one, but okay, let's use that one. It's that this is what I want. Maybe I want to live in a community of like-minded people. Maybe I want to live in a community that's more rural or quiet. Maybe I want certain qualities in my home. I want to, maybe I want a house out in the country, or maybe I want an apartment in town so it's close to everything. So you can lay out the parameters of the things, but I also want you to get in touch with the feeling of it. What does it feel like? What does it make me feel like to come home and step across the doorstep, the threshold of my new home? What's that feeling, right? That's what you're chasing, not necessarily the specifics. So, it just takes us thinking in a different way, right? We have to look at stepping outside of the old ways in which we've tried to create and be more open. So how does it feel? How does it feel? What do I want to feel in my new home? What do I want to feel in my relationships? What do I want to feel in my new job? What do I want to feel in fill in the blank? What area ever, whatever area of your life that you are trying to set an intention for or trying to create. Now, the gate 30 on the solar plexus joins up with the gate 41 on the root center. So it is a channel of imagination. It is a channel of creating from the imagination. So nothing's ever come into form, into reality, that didn't first start up here somewhere or somewhere up here in the imaginal realm, right? We didn't go to the moon because suddenly we had the skills to go to the moon. We went to the moon because somewhere someone imagined that we could fly a rocket ship or fly or get to the moon. And then the steps began to appear that led us to that opportunity. Same thing with anything that we've ever, the bathroom. I bet people, the whole idea of an indoor plumbing came about because we were tired of trudging out to the outhouse at night in the cold, in the rain, or in the heat to use the facilities. So it it was in the imagination that wouldn't it be nice if we could have something indoors where we didn't have to trudge outdoors. So everything that's been created in our lives began in the imaginal realm. And if every one of you just stops right now and thinks about what is in my imagination, what have I been wanting to bring into reality that's been up here in my imagination, up above my head. It's not even in my body yet. What's up here? What's in the imagination? And the gate 30 then sets that up into a desire. I want to fill in the blank, right? Or I want to be, or I want to have, or I want to go. So the imagination begins the process. The gate 30 almost kind of puts the emotional tone around it. And now your job is to let it happen, right? To let it happen, to follow the steps that the universe brings to you, but to not to be so narrow-minded that you are expecting it only to happen in the way that you will think it can happen or in the way that you allow it to happen, because really the universe is all knowing, and it can bring us in surprising ways things that we could only imagine, right? So it's imaginal, it's creative, it is a time, I think, when we are really going to get to see where it is maybe we are too caught up in how we think things should go, right? So it gives us this opportunity to release all that and to just get to the feeling of what I want, how I'm going to feel, how I'm going to connect when I have XYZ in my life. And then your next job is to follow the signs that the universe will inevitably bring to you so that you take the steps, right? Don't ignore them. Open up. Where's the universe taking you? The trip is outlined by the universe, or the trip is given to you by the universe. You're following the signs. It reminds me of the generator story I've shared with you probably many times about a woman who wanted to cross the river. And she was kind of railing at the gods. You want me to cross this river? What I want is on the other side, but I can't get there. And God or source says, look down. And she looks down and there's a rock. And she steps out on the rock. There's the first step, right? She took the first step, but now she's wailing at God again. Well, now what? Now I'm stuck in the middle of this river and there's nowhere else for me to go except back. And God says, look down. And there's another step. So the steps will be revealed to us. Our job is to keep aligning with the steps. And part of Jupiter's movement into this gate is going to be about the first step in the alignment is to be open to the universe showing you how to get there, right? You hold the space of what you want, hold it lightly, hold the emotion of what it's going to feel like when you have it, when you get there, and let the universe be the guide. Big lesson for all of us humans who like to micromanage, right? Especially if you're a generator type, you like to sort of micromanage the universe. If you have a defined will center, you kind of like to micromanage the universe. If you have a defined sacral, which everybody on the planet right now has, we all like to micromanage the universe, right? And instead, it's about taking and responding to what shows up in the outer world. I hope all of that makes sense. Okay. Good morning, Londa. It's good to see you. Patricia Woods, good to see you. J Lo says, my daughter was just saying she was speaking to someone of what she wanted and where she wanted it. She's a 6'2" splenic projector. And so, even though all of that information is important, look to the emotional center in her chart. The solar plexus is the one on the lower right. If you're looking at your human design face on, if it's the center on the lower right, it's a triangle that points inward toward the sacral. And see what that looks like in connection to all of the other centers, right? That's the big key, because the 30 is going to define that on that solar plexus, excuse me. And then if she has the gate 41 hanging, it's going to make a connection, right? If she doesn't, then other people are going to help her place those passions in their right, hopefully their right perspective. Or they're going to be showing up with things that she really wants, and she's going to be wondering why she can't get what she wants, right? So there's that too. Okay, what else is going on out here? Cool rocks. I love that. Show me in a way I can understand. Also good for speed up and slow down. Yes, we set the parameters. Alana Bailey says, my south node is in Sagittarius. So you are having an eclipse. It depends on the degree too. So I'm not quite sure what the degree is going to be. So your solar eclipse is going to happen on top of your natal south node, which means that you also have the south node in transit very near your natal south node. So there may be a lot of things drawing you to the past. There may be a lot of things that are coming up from the past that hadn't been settled. There may be a lot of thinking going on within you about using some skill or talent that you maybe discovered years ago that now you're like, well, maybe I need to take that and dust it off and put it back on the shelf and start to work with it. There could be people coming up from your past. I would say that is happening for quite a few people out there, because the South Node is the place that the eclipse is going to happen in tandem with. And the South Node tends to bring that up, relationships from the past, feelings from the past, all kinds of things from our past can come up for us to view or work with in new ways. So all of that happening. Okay, so Kathleen, oh, that wasn't a question. I thought I just saw, oh, Sylvester, good morning. He says, Grand Rising, beautiful people, sending love and positive vibes. Make sure to be kind to yourself during these energetic times. Absolutely. And he's also wishing Andy Girl a happy birthday. And Tom, I noticed you said something first off this morning, and it was something about, did anybody else have a bad night's sleep or not sleep well last night? And I just want to tell you, yes, I had that exact experience. My cat, she was disturbed last night. She's passed out on the bed behind me here. Sleeping now because she tried to keep me awake all night, jumping on me and meowing at me. And I don't know what was up with her, but definitely it was not a smooth sleeping night where I just was asleep and then woke up at 6 a.m. going, oh, it's time to get up. Okay, J-Lo, too many hanging and 41 is not it. Well, that's okay. Hanging gates are ones that we play out with other people. So a hanging gate, by the way, for everybody who's out there, is a gate that's defined, but it doesn't go all the way across and meet up with the gate at the opposite end of it. So it acts like a magnet. It acts like a one-way magnet and can only attract to you the experiences from the people around you that might have the opposite gate. So J-Lo, maybe you or one of your other kids or maybe one of her friends has the gate 41, and that can help bring that into perspective for her. But it's how we are always working together like that. But we can't always like stop in the middle of what we're doing and go, oh, hey, let me pull up your human design chart and see where, you have hanging gates and where they match mine so that we can work together. That doesn't always work. right? Because first of all, not everybody knows human design. And second of all, not everybody wants to divulge all of their birth information so that you can find something. And then you're interpreting a very small part of the chart in terms of what's the whole picture, right? So we can't always do that. But we can go with how we feel when we're around certain people or at certain times of the month, right? When the moon is moving as the fastest body, moving through the whole of the human design, going through 64 gates in the human design in 28 and a half days, we can tell that at certain times we're going to feel certain ways, right? And the moon may be the kicker, right? It's the one that's triggering us. Or a longer planet placement like Jupiter comes along. If you are someone who has a hanging gate 41 in your chart, now Jupiter is going to be the one that's ferrying the imaginative ideas you might have into reality. You just have to stay out of the way, right? So, again, you won't know this unless you know your human design. Get a reading, right? Get a reading of your human design so that you can understand how you work, how you operate in both your own way, but also when you end up working with other people. So, we've all had experiences where we work really well with certain people, like things just click, right? And it's like they open up our minds or they open up our hearts, they open up our emotions. And then we've also had the opposite experience where it's a challenge to be with that person. It's a challenge to have that person in our lives or to work with that person. And we want to naturally push away from that person. In reality, we should be all in, right? And understand why or what it is that this person's trying to teach me. Why is this person in my path right now? So human design gives us that access, but astrology does too, but just not as obvious in terms of relationship. So I like both systems. Ursula, great idea. She says an animal card for the collective. Let's do that. I'm going to bring up the animal cards. And what else might we want to bring up? I think we need a Mayan card today. This will give us energy for the week. And I just love the animal cards anyway. They're always really good guides as to what we can take away. This reminds me, yesterday I got to hang out with Wyatt, my 3-year-old grandson. He's so adorable and he's just so freaking smart. And he remembered from the last time that he and I were together, which was last week on Amelia's birthday, that we played a game, or he calls it a game. And what we were doing is we sat down with Grandma's iPhone and he was doing the animal alphabet. And he knows all of his alphabet at 3, and he knows what words start with those letters. So he said, let's do animal alphabet. So I sat down with him again, and we got to work together to find pictures of animals that start with each of the letters. So he likes alligator for A. And I said, well, what about, let's look at the alligator, but let's think of other words, other animals that might start with these letters. And we had the best time looking up aardvark. Aardvark. He's like, aardvark? What's that? And so it was fun. I just had a blast with him. The card we have for the week is Brown Bear. Talk about slowing things down a bit, right? It says, take time out. Card number 9. So we started out this morning talking about the craziness of the week, right? With the sun at the gate 34 giving us action, vitality, and life force, and the need for patience, right? To slow things down, to be able to respond to what is showing up and not just take action, right? Not to be so impulsive. So we get Brown Bear Spirit for the week. Let's read this one. Card number 9. I don't think we've pulled this one in quite a long time, in fact, if ever. And he came out right side up, right? So there is a time to act and a time to focus your attention on patient strategizing. Patient strategizing. The arrival of Brown Bear Spirit signals that you are best served by foregoing hard work toward your goals at this moment and instead taking the time out to meditate or just take a nap so you can refresh yourself and begin planning what you want to co-create next. Come to know the lay of the land as you contemplate and imagine what you might do in this vast space of possibility before you and begin forming a plan. Remember, sleep allows for dreaming and rest allows for clear-headed strategizing. How might you become the person you wish to be and experience whatever your heart desires? Insights will arise as you explore the possibilities and begin envisioning your plan. Knowing what you want will ensure you use your energy wisely in the days ahead. Be patient at this time. Relax and be calm and peaceful so you can recharge. The call for action will come later. I'd say that's a nice balance to all of that action. Let's do energy that we have going on in the stars above us right now. And just to remind you guys that we still have Mars, the action planet, in a sign he rules. He's sitting at, let's see, today he's sitting at 15 degrees of Scorpio. So he's still also in a place that he's empowered to be in. And Scorpio as a water sign will take a little more time to consider. So I think the brown bear here helps us to maybe align with that action planet's need to consider to dive deep into something before we take steps. All right. Let's do a Mayan card and see what we get. Mayan Oracle. So the Mayan Oracle, here's the book that comes with it. Look how thick that is, right? So it tells you this is juicy. And this is called A Galactic Language of Light by Ariel Spilsbury and Michael Brenner. And the Mayan Oracle. Okay, so the cards. Let's draw a card. And this might give us the direction we need for the week. This is the card that wants to come out. Transformer. It's a lightning bolt. Transformer. And this is actually not one of the Mayan signs. It is not one of the Mayan numbers. So it's not an earth energy and it's not a universal energy. It's more of an overall kind of behind the scenes kind of energy. And I gotta go this way. Hold on. The lenses, that's what they call it. So it's more of a lens that gives us an idea of what the timing is around this time of our existence. Here we go. So here's the qualities of Transformer. It's a profound discontinuity, a break with the past, planetary reality, collective dream field, self-healing, transducer, quantum healer, quantum transformer, midwife of planetary transformation, sound and light healer. You are a midwife of planetary transformation. You are a healer, transformer of the collective consciousness of this planet. Awaken to your vast potential. In receiving this lens, you are being asked to transform the collective reality constructs of this planet by expanding your own limiting belief systems. Very Sagittarius feeling there, right? By their sheer force, the collective energy and thought forms of all human beings shape reality into what we perceive. What we call reality is actually a collective dream field, a holographic reflection of our shared beliefs. As you process your personal experience of apparent separation, pain, fear, denial, judgment, and limitation, you bring healing and integration, not just to yourself, but to all of humanity. Your personal changes affect the collective reality of the entire planet. In fact, all your dreams, visions, and beliefs have an impact on the collective dream field. By simply embodying the consciousness of love, you help to realize the shift of consciousness on Earth. Break with the past, expect a profound discontinuity in your ordinary perception or ways of defining reality. Choose to enter consciously into the evolutionary playing field of the greater reality. On your journey, you will encounter feelings that reflect parts of yourself that have not totally been freed into love. These feelings will give you the keys to your transformative power. Come, dance and play in this dynamic planetary field. Do your personal part, your own self-healing. Offer yourself as a transducer for clearing and transforming the collective planetary field. Help to midwife the emerging reality. Let self-healing be your walking stick and transformation on your planetary path. I love it. Transformer. It's a really cool card. It's a great lens to look at what's going on in the world through right now and to be a part of it, a positive force for positive transformation. So there we have that. All right. Time wise, we are at the end. Let me just make sure I didn't have. Corey says, I asked the universe for a sign today on whether or not to postpone this project. And here comes Brown Bear. Guess that's my answer. See, isn't the universe magical? It does. It answers our questions. So it doesn't mean the project is on the shelf forever. It just means for the moment, right? For the week, maybe. But be open to what other signs start to show up in terms to align you with the right timing, right? Okay, that is it for me today. I will see you all on Friday. No, I won't. I might see you on Friday. I'm out of town this weekend for Thanksgiving, going to see my son over in Friday Harbor. I don't know what the connection might be like there. So it's possible you'll see me on Friday, but it's possible you might not. So I will let you all know. Take care. Have a great week. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Much gratitude and love out to all of you, and make it a good week. Bye.